Hello everyone! Welcome to this behind the scenes look at running a client accounting services firm. Many of us accounting professionals are trying to figure out how to keep up with the fast pace of technology and seemingly exponential change in the work that we all do. How to communicate, how to collaborate, how to leverage the new tools available. So I'm going to walk you through the way we do things in my firm, just so we can use my firm as an example to spark a bunch of discussions. I'm in no way saying that this is how things should be done in your firm. These are purely shared ideas. So please feel free to incorporate any of the ideas that you see today into your own business, or be inspired to do things your own way with your own special flair. So much of what we do in our firm today has been learned from our peers who shared their stories with us, and from our attending sessions at conferences and industry events. I'll tell you a little bit about myself. My name is Laura Redmond. I run a firm called Redmond Accounting, Inc. I started it in 2005 with the idea that there must be businesses that needed an accounting department, but they didn't need it to be full-time or even on site. There was not yet a term at that time called Client Accounting Services. I'm based in Silicon Valley, and that's where we started. Today we have staff in California, Ohio, and Arizona. That just happens to be where our staff live. We put our first client back in 2005 on QuickBooks Online, and we also put our firm's own books on QuickBooks Online. But we had other clients that kept their books in QuickBooks Desktop and Peachtree and NetSuite. By about 2010, we centralized all clients onto QuickBooks, either desktop or online, as we were really honing our expertise and developing our methods all based around QuickBooks. And then by 2011, we moved all clients who weren't already on QuickBooks Online to QuickBooks Online. And we also, at that time, converted all of our service engagements to fixed fee, auto pay engagements paid at the first of the month. We'd seen enough by then to know that the access and collaboration of web-based apps was going to be important to our success. During those years, I created a program that organized all of our work. We had been using an Excel spreadsheet, but it kept breaking because of how heavily we were using it. So we needed something better to manage the tasks that we were delegating to staff for all of our various clients and the various services we were doing for those clients. After we built that tool that we were using, other accounting firms that I had been working with in peer groups began to ask if they could use it, so we eventually spun off and created a separate company to develop and support that app. That app is called Arrow Workflow. You'll hear me mention it in this presentation today, not for a sales purpose, but only because my firm lives and breathes by it. But you can certainly substitute that for whichever app or system you want to use. There are many of them out there on the market. And then I've also been, outside of my accounting firm and Arrow Workflow, I've also been heavily involved with Intuit's national training program. I'm part of their trainer-writer network. I co-authored the QuickBooks Online core and advanced certification programs and exams since their inception, and I've been teaching that material to accounting professionals for many years. Here's a link that allows you to check out some additional resources that are related to this topic, such as suggested reading material and sample checklists, things like that. I'll be showing this link again at the end of the session. We'll start with the vision of the firm and discuss the leadership aspect of my firm. Then we'll look at the importance of process while we peek into our marketing and sales work. Next, we'll experience the importance of organizing your processes into a system so that you can deliver them in a consistent manner. We'll use the onboarding phases to look at that. And finally, we'll discuss the importance of tracking results related to your processes so that you can determine what to improve upon. We'll zoom into the service and support aspects of our firm to focus on results. The vision is a very important piece of the big picture. You want to proactively drive your firm towards your vision. Good decision making requires clarity and confidence. So spend time on your vision and on the leadership of the firm. It is important ongoing work. My firm follows the EOS method. EOS stands for Entrepreneurial Operating System. We like the structure of the EOS operating system for running a business. If you have multiple staff, build a leadership team. If you're a solo practice, assemble an advisory board of friends and colleagues and family, and then get to work on aligning your firm with your vision. Some of the hallmarks of our leadership work include defining our core values, our core focus, our marketing strategy, and significant targets. Your core values are the foundation of your company's culture. One way to help you zero in on yours would be to list people you admire, whose characteristics and values you admire. List what it is that you admire about them. And then, when you get that big list finished, pick 5 to 10 of those values that you think are core to your firm's success and to your vision. You'll hire and fire and make decisions around these core values. So identify the few most important values that you want to be central to the company. Ours are here on the board. Your core focus is a statement that combines both why you're excited to come to work plus what you do well and enjoy doing. This is the message you want to relate to the world. This is your mission statement or your purpose. This is your cause, your passion. You'll want to use simple language, and you'll want the statement to be big and bold and have an aha effect. It should come from the heart. It's not just about money and profit. This statement is bigger than a goal. And then work on it to distill it down to the fewest words possible. Once you've defined your core focus, your core values, then you'll want to get your message out to the world. So think about your marketing strategy. Define your target market. What clients do you want? That's who you want to direct your message to. Then identify 3 unique qualities about your business. What sets you apart from others? What are you going to do a bit differently than everybody else does? Then you'll define what it is about what you do that works. That's your proven process. That's what you want to repeat and sell. Your knowledge capital, your secret sauce. And then you'll have designed a service that you guarantee. Next, you'll make a plan. You can plan out at 1 year, 3 years, and 10 years. Plan things like total revenue, average client revenue, client count, staff count, profit, any measurables that are meaningful to your firm and to your vision. We hold a leadership team level 10 meeting every week. Level 10 meetings are a structured way to gain traction. We learned how to do this through our EOS training. We also hold other level 10 meetings for each of our main departments, like our sales and marketing department, operations, and those are held at different intervals. On each level 10 meeting, you spend 5 minutes checking in, and then you spend 5 minutes each running through the next few things. We spend 5 minutes on our scorecard of metrics to determine whether each metric is on or off target. No commentary. All you can say is on target or off target. Then we spend the next 5 minutes looking at each milestone, which we call rocks, to determine whether they are on track or off track to be completed by their quarter-ending due date. The owner of each milestone simply reports back on track or off track. Then we spend 5 minutes sharing any news we might have about people that are important to the organization, whether that be clients, partners, vendors, employees. And then 5 minutes running through our to-do list from the last meeting and checking off any tasks that were done. Then the majority of the meeting is spent on issues. You can see we've got an hour allocated to that. And during that hour, we identify the firm's biggest issues as of that day. We prioritize them, and then we get to work on the top issue, discussing it until a solution is found. The issue may be something that we saw on the scorecard that is off target, or a milestone that's off track, or a current operational issue at hand. Working on issues involves making decisions and breaking the issue down into smaller pieces, which is generally a task or multiple tasks, more likely, that are added to the to-do list. My experience has been that level 10 meetings are a very effective meeting format. So I'd like you to take a moment, take yourselves away to a quiet place in your mind where you can focus and think about your vision. And you can do that now, and then certainly spend time on that outside of this event. And talk it out with the people in your life. Hone it. What do you want out of this business? Why do it every day? You're going to be the last one working at the end of the day. This is not the easy job, the one leading the firm. What do you want that's worth doing all of this for? You can manifest this better when you're aware of it and when it resonates with everything else that you do in the firm. Once upon a time, we were documenting all of our processes and procedures so we could delegate the work between our team members. And on the intranet where we published all of our documentation, at the top of every page was a quote that said, "This is how we do things here." So as we start to talk about process next, in your mind's eye, put your hands on your hips and in your bossiest voice with "This is how we do things here" playing in your head. I want you to map out how you want the firm to work. Many of you have some of this in place already. There may just be areas of the firm that you want to work out the process better. Some of you are just starting and you want to map out the entire process of the firm. In either case, define your processes. How do you do them? Step by step. It's the responsibility of the firm, not the staff, to intentionally define the operations of the business. With your vision in mind, map out the main processes of your business as you see it. How do you want this machine to work? Be intentional. We mapped out our processes by building a big process flowchart. Here's a snapshot of the entire firm. You can see we've got our marketing processes in the upper left, and then it moves on to the phases of our sales process. And then you can see we have 5 phases in our onboarding process. And then it moves on down to our service delivery of accounting services and consulting services and the support of those clients. As we talk about process and our process flowchart, we'll look at our firm's marketing and sales processes just as an example. Marketing, as I understand it, is all about getting the buzz out there in the world, letting people know who you are. Marketing is a one-to-many relationship. One firm targeting all of the many businesses in your target market. On our process flowchart, marketing is made up of branding and lead generation. So let's start with branding. We relied heavily on our vision to guide our branding. A central part of branding is your message. Think about the exercises you did earlier that we just discussed about your core focus, your core values, your target market, and to help you kickstart the development of your messaging, you could do what's called an onlyness exercise. This helps you describe how you're unique. So think about what you are as a firm. Maybe you think of yourselves as an innovative accounting firm, or a modern tax firm, or an outsourced controller, or fractional CFO. For how, think about your proven process that we talked about a minute ago when you're defining your vision. And think about giving it a name. What do you call the method? How you do things in that unique way that you do. We call ours the RAI way. RAI stands for Redmond Accounting Inc. And we talk about it, for example, on our website. For who, here you'll describe your target market. Maybe it's restaurants or small business owners who want their time back. For where, you'll tell people what areas you serve, whether that's downtown or the entire country. Where are your future clients? Why will help you describe why it improves the lives of your clients. What do they get out of their engagement with you in the big picture? And finally, when. Here you can list any conditions to your services. So for ours, for example, is when they can work online and when they don't need someone to do their accounting in their office. So after you've done this who, what, when, where, why exercise called an onlyness exercise, then you can string all of that together into one great statement. And it might be pretty long. So if it's too long, then you can boil it down further into a shorter version. And then maybe see if you can tie it back to your core focus statement from your vision. Once you have your messaging worked out, then you'll want to give some thought to your style. What's your style? To help us with that, we created a style guide. Sounds fancy, doesn't it? It's just a shared document. We use Google Docs, so it was just a blank Google Doc, white page, and then we just started putting things on it that were our final decisions on what our logo was. So it can be a central place to store those final versions. Your logo, pick what colors you'll use for your firm. What font style will you use? You could put your onlyness statement on your style guide. Anything related to your brand, so that in the future, when anyone in your firm has to, for example, redesign the LinkedIn banner for your company page, they can use the proper on-brand colors and font and logo. After you've done your branding, then we're going to move into lead generation. So remember our firm's big process flow chart that I showed you earlier? There was the marketing area, and that had a section for branding, and then the next part of marketing was lead generation. So you'll use your branding to get the word out and generate leads. That lead generation process for us starts with identifying a target market. Now remember that defining your target market was also part of the work you did related to your vision for the firm. And you can see how that now resonates here to your marketing campaign. Identifying a target market involves determining many factors, such as where you want your prospects to be located, what's their revenue level, what industry are they in. You can start this exercise by thinking about who your favorite clients are and whether you want more like them. Or maybe you're looking for businesses that use QuickBooks Online or some other preferred software. We've further defined our target market to aim for senior level contacts that would have the authority to partner with us. List all of these factors together to officially define your target market. Then you can either purchase contact information in that target market to do some cold call campaigning, or you can create a particular campaign such as a lead magnet to attract people in your target market, such as a white paper or a list of top tips or some other goodie that's aimed at that particular niche. Whatever you choose, direct it at your target market so that you get the prospects you want. This can be done as a one-time exercise if the firm has one niche, one target market, or you could, if you want to grow and serve additional niches, you could define another target market and launch a new marketing campaign aimed at that new target market. Once your target market is defined, we do lots of things to try to get those targeted prospects to our website. One thing we do is a blog. We use WordPress to manage our website and our blog posts. We keep a document where we jot down future ideas for blog posts, and we also keep a spreadsheet where we schedule each upcoming blog post. We try to post a QuickBooks tip regularly. We also like to highlight other apps that we use. And we also post blogs that are updates about events that we're involved in. And we post blogs that give tips and tricks. All of the blogs that we're posting are trying to attract our target market to our website. Another marketing activity we do is email campaigns. If you've purchased email addresses, that's a cold email campaign. And once someone has clicked to subscribe to your newsletter or blog or whatever you want to call it, then that's a warm email campaign. So for the cold email campaign, these are people who, like I said, maybe you purchased their email addresses, you don't know them, they don't know you, so you're trying to introduce yourself and get people to engage with you. In that case, on a cold email campaign, focus on starting conversations. You're not trying to make the sale yet. Ask about their frustrations with accounting or share common pain points of accounting. Offer free advice. After a few emails, if they have not engaged, like if they haven't opened or clicked any of your emails, then it's okay to stop contacting them. The goal here is not to have a massive list. You want to be careful of spam filters. So you really want to target to particular contacts and determine within 3 to 5 emails whether they're interested or not. For those who do opt in to hear more from you, for the warm email campaign, they might have clicked on your cold campaign emails and opted in, or maybe they opted in through your lead magnet. These leads for us go through a drip campaign where we really give a clear feel for who we are and what we do and why we're unique. The flow of these emails in the drip campaign cover several important factors to relate to the emotions and logic of the recipients. We describe what the prospect will gain from our services. We remind them of what it looks like when they don't work with accounting professionals like us. We talk about the benefits of our services. We ask them if they're still dealing with common problems and whether they want us to fix those for them, help them with that. After those new contacts to the warm email campaign get through that drip of emails, then they have a better feel for who we are, and then they go into the regular rotation of receiving our regular news and blog articles. And so these, by that point, we consider them friends of the firm, and that pays off for us down the line because one day they may need you and they'll reach out if they haven't already. Or they may likely forward your information to someone they know who is looking for a solution like yours, so they can be good referrals for you. All of our email campaign messages look like a personal email. At the bottom of every one of them is a picture of me with my name, and the email's written by me. It comes from my email address. If they hit reply, I'll receive the message and respond back. In fact, I encourage that. That's what we're trying to get them to do, is hit reply and talk to us. And they do that. They will. Email campaigns build trust. You're not saying the word trust in your emails, but you're doing it. You're being vulnerable. You're putting yourself out there, your email address, your feelings on things. With an email campaign, you can reach thousands of people in minutes. And it's a low-cost way to keep our services top of mind. And it's a very effective way to build genuine relationships. On all of our emails, we try to keep our subject line under 7 words. In the body of the email, we try to tell a story. We try to address some pain points. And we keep it short. And all of our emails end with a call to action, which is a link to click to schedule a meeting and talk to us. We also use social media to create conversations and to build community, but we try not to be salesy. Global Web Index reported this year that the average time spent per day by humans on social media is 2 hours and 24 minutes. That's up 2 minutes a day from the prior year. So we know that humans are out there using social media, and so it certainly makes sense that it's a good idea to have your expertise, your name, your branding out there. Our firm finds LinkedIn to be the best for business use if I had to pick one, but we post across LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter, and Google My Business. But LinkedIn especially is a common ground for business owners and professionals. In addition to our website and blogs and email campaigns and social media, we also try to generate leads by attending networking events and encouraging online reviews and tending to the SEO, search engine optimization, of our website. All of our lead generation efforts are guided to our website, which is where we describe the services we offer, and we have a call to action button to schedule an appointment to meet with us. The average time spent on a website is 15 seconds, so you don't have very long to capture their attention. It's important to be clear, concise, and consistent so that new website visitors understand who you are and what you do. On our website, we encourage visitors to schedule a free consultation with us, to talk with us. Once someone has heard our marketing buzz out in the great big world, and they've found their way to our website and they've clicked for a free consultation, now it's us and our new lead. A 1-to-1 ratio. Someone's knocking at the door. So now we've moved from the marketing process to the sales process. The first phase in our sales process on our process flowchart is lead qualification. We're trying to determine, is the prospect a good fit for our firm? Mainly, do they want the services that we offer? A lot of times, prospects want to talk to a company that they're considering. So here on our site, they can pick a date and time that works for them and schedule an appointment. We use Calendly to embed our consultation scheduler right into our website. When they've picked the date and time, then Calendly will ask a few questions to determine whether we're a right fit for each other. It won't tell them yes or no, you're a right fit, but it will ask these questions in order for them to schedule the appointment. And we ask, are they comfortable working with us using web-based tools? We ask whether they're using QuickBooks Online, or if they're not, whether they're willing to switch to QuickBooks Online. We ask if they're looking for recurring accounting department services or one-time consulting project services. We ask them what their budget is, and we ask them if they need any accounting services which we do not offer, such as tax or audit or inventory management. And then we also ask them if they need help immediately. And we also ask them how they hear about us. So that's like 6 or 7 questions. And then they book the meeting and they receive a notification about it along with the answers that they gave to our questions. Before we move on to the next step, I just want to show you real quick our cost calculator. In the question where we ask them what their budget is for accounting department services, we have a link to this cost calculator. And this helps prospects calculate what the cost of an in-house employee accounting department would be. This is their cost of doing business, and I want them to have it in mind when they're considering a client accounting services firm, so that they don't forget that their costs are associated one way or another to the work that is so vital to the success of their company. The second phase of our sales process after lead qualification is consultation. This is where we meet. When the consultation date arrives, we meet the prospect via Zoom. We have cameras on and we meet them face to face. We introduce ourselves and we ask a few questions about them. There are usually two of us from my firm on this meeting. One of us is leading the demo and the other is listening and taking notes. This meeting serves two purposes. One of them is to show the prospect what it looks like to do business with us. The other is to gather information about the prospect's needs. After the introductions, we share our screen and we show them a demo of what it looks like to work with us. We show them their view of the apps that are applicable to the services they're interested in. We show them what it will look like for them when they work with us, not how we do our work. We're not showing them the inside view from how we're performing their services. That's too much. It's too overwhelming. We focus on showcasing the great features like online and mobile bill pay approval and electronic payments. And at the same time, while we're performing that demo, all along the way, we're also asking lots of questions about the current workload required by their business. And this is the needs assessment component of our process. If we're demoing our receivables service, we ask them about the company's sales and how they collect revenue and how they collect payment. If we're demoing payables, then we're asking questions about the number of bills they pay per month and whether they have company credit cards and how many company credit cards and what bank, what financial institution they have these credit cards with. We ask them what services they need. We ask about transaction counts and frequency. We have very specific questions that we ask. And all along the way, we're recording these answers on a spreadsheet. This is our pricing spreadsheet. It's both our tool for capturing notes during our needs assessment, and that same spreadsheet is our pricing spreadsheet. So that pricing spreadsheet is built to take in those answers and calculate the appropriate pricing for the engagement based on the needs of that prospect. When the demo is over, we wrap up and tell them to look for a proposal from us. So in the sales process, we had lead qualification and then consultation, and now we're moving on to the third phase of our sales process, which is the proposal. After the consultation meeting, we review the calculated pricing. If we need to, we have several levers we can pull on our spreadsheet to adjust factors such as the labor costs or the app fees, if we need to better fit the prospect's needs and our value to the prospect. Once we've determined internally the price for this engagement, we create a proposal. We use Practice Ignition, and we create a proposal in Practice Ignition using that calculated pricing, and we send that to the prospect. The prospect receives an email with a button to click to view the proposal. The proposal then pops up in its own web page. It has a brochure on the left side so they can scroll through and read more details about the particular services we offer. And on the right side, they can view the particular service details that we've selected for them and their pricing. They can view all of the terms of services, and they can enter their payment information and click to accept the proposal. When they click to accept the proposal, a pop-up window confirms the proposal has been accepted, and it gives them a link to the engagement letter in PDF form that they can save or print. And they also get an email confirmation which sends the same link to their engagement letter. In addition to the email confirmation sent from Practice Ignition upon acceptance of the proposal, we also use Zapier to automatically send an email with initial instructions on the engagement. Anyone familiar with Zapier? Zapier is a way to automate and connect or integrate different apps together. The email that we send out with instructions asks them to be on the lookout for an email invite to Client Hub and to set a password and download the mobile app for Client Hub. And it also asks them to click a link to schedule our kickoff meeting. So now the sales phase has come to an end. We made the sale, and it's time to onboard our new client. Back to our quiet place in our mind. This is my tranquil, forest, quiet, peaceful screen, where you can focus uninterrupted and think about your processes. So a bit ago, we were focusing on our vision. Now we're focusing on our processes. You can see how I showed you in my firm, we use that process flow chart to lay out all of our processes for sales and marketing. You can do this for all the parts of your business. I used an app called Miro, M-I-R-O, it's a big whiteboard to create ours. You can use whatever tool you like. So think about your processes. What comes to mind when you think of the processes that will help you achieve your vision? How will you get there? You're not looking for a right or wrong answer here. You're looking for how you want to do it. You're running the show. Your firm is unique because it does things in its own special way. So define how you want to do those things and design your processes. In the last section, we looked at our process flow chart that showed the big picture of all of our processes. Flow charts are great to work out the order of things, how you'll achieve your vision. But you'll need more than a flow chart. There are just too many details to fit on a flow chart, and multiple instances of each process occurring all at the same time at different degrees of completion. You can't stand there at a whiteboard at your flow chart with your finger on one part of the sales process and say, I'm right here, but then I'm also working on this consulting project and this marketing, right? I mean, like, you need a system. You and your staff are performing lots of tasks each day. You have to organize all of these processes into a system so that you and everybody else know exactly what to do and when to do it. If you remember, our process flow chart after marketing and sales was the onboarding process. So let's peek into our firm's system, and we'll look at our system as it relates to our onboarding process. Having a system helps us make a great first impression during the onboarding phase and avoid chaos. Our firm uses Arrow Workflow Manager. Arrow is our firm's central brain. Arrow organizes all of our knowledge capital, everything we know, everything we've learned, and puts it to work so that we can be consistent and intentional, and so that we can delegate, so that we can grow. Here's a screenshot of all the task assignments due on a particular day. These may be client work or marketing tasks or onboarding work. At any one moment in time, a firm may have staff servicing client A's payroll, other staff servicing client B's books, staff paying clients these bills, prospects calling, marketing tasks to do, leadership meetings to attend. All of our processes on that flow chart you saw earlier are contained in Arrow as checklists, step-by-step processes. These checklists are assigned to staff at varying intervals. When staff click to start working on a task that was assigned to them, the status changes from not started to in progress. The firm can watch that from here. We watch our firm at work. We can see what everyone is up to. We can see the status of all assignments, and we can proactively manage our firm. Our system organizes our processes. This creates efficiencies in our firm. It improves profitability, and it strengthens our ability to provide exceptional service to our clients. Every morning, each staff person logs in for the day. They don't land on the management screen I just showed you. They land on their list of tasks that are assigned to them. When they click on a task to perform it, they see a checklist like we see here, with step-by-step instructions to perform that particular work assignment. So let's pick up where we left off earlier when we had just booked a new engagement and finished the sales process. Now we're moving into the onboarding process. Remember that our prospect accepted our proposal and received our email to look for an invite to Client Hub and to schedule our kickoff meeting. Zapier sent that email when it saw that a proposal was accepted. Zapier also did a number of other things. One of the things it did was it created a task in Arrow, a checklist of all the things we do in phase 1 of our onboarding process. Here's the checklist for phase 1 that we use. Notice there are check boxes. I can check off each step as I go. If I have to take a break and go to lunch, come back and work on it later, I know exactly where I left off. And I can keep track of what still hasn't been completed. If somebody else is doing this work, I as management can peek in and see where they are on it. Or I can pass this to someone else to work on some of the steps, and we can share work that way. Scope creep is less likely to occur when your staff are following assigned, defined tasks. Here's a screenshot of an automation we built in Zapier. The trigger is when a proposal is accepted in Practice Ignition. When that happens, Zapier will create the onboarding phase 1 checklist in Arrow, which we just saw. It also creates a folder in Google Drive for this new client, and it creates a new onboarding status tracker for this new client. Our checklist in Arrow tells us to update phase 1 status on the client onboarding status tracker from not started to in progress. Each of the 5 checklists for the 5 phases of onboarding send us here to update the status at the beginning and end of each phase. Our client will have a link so that they can watch the status. This keeps them in the loop. Communication is a key component of great customer service. Our phase 1 checklist in Arrow also tells us to set up Client Hub. Client Hub is the app we use as our central point of contact with clients. Our checklist gives us step-by-step instructions how to set up the new client's workspace. Once Client Hub is set up, we invite our new client to access it. Remember that the automated confirmation email to our client when they accepted the proposal told them to look for this email invite from Client Hub. I'll show you more of Client Hub in a little bit. And our Arrow checklist for phase 1 of onboarding also tells us to do a few more things. The checklist is the step-by-step detailed instruction, but it's following the process flowchart. Here's a zoomed-in view of the process flowchart's phase 1 of onboarding. You can see here that the flowchart is telling us what to do on the left side of the screen, and on the right side of the screen you can see a zoomed-in view of the arrow checklist. So the arrow checklist is the system that's following the process flowchart map. And in this case, it's taking us through the onboarding phases. So we can keep track of all of the various steps and instances that are occurring simultaneously for each new client you might be onboarding. So next on our phase 1 checklist, we confirm whether the client has scheduled their kickoff meeting yet. Remember, they were given that instruction on the confirmation email that Zapier sent when they accepted the engagement. So if they haven't scheduled that meeting yet, we send them a reminder message. And we communicate with them that they should join that meeting using a computer and be prepared to share their screen for training. Then also the rest of the steps on this checklist are to update the onboarding status tracker for phase 1 to complete, and then an arrow, we schedule the phase 2 checklist task. Phase 2 is the kickoff meeting with the client. And here's that phase 2 checklist and arrow. The kickoff meeting is very important to the working relationship with our client. It will be the first time we're truly collaborating with them. So we want to make a good first impression. This meeting is entirely focused on how to communicate with us. Phase 2's checklist takes place mostly during that kickoff meeting with the client. We welcome the client and we introduce any of the other members of our team who are also on the meeting. Then we ask the client to share their screen and log in to Client Hub. This helps get them right in there and allows us to help with any issues of access. With the client sharing their screen, we review the 4 sections of Client Hub together. On the far left, we have the conversation panel. We explain that it's for short text messaging. The middle panel is for client tasks that we will be assigning. We point out that this will be used heavily in the next phase of our onboarding process as we collect information from them so that we can get started in setting things up. We clarify that information must be submitted here in Client Hub and not sent by email. And the far right panel is split into an upper and lower half. The upper half is for apps. We show them how they can come here and click to launch each app that we manage for them. This helps them remember all of the apps that we use for their accounting department. That can seem very overwhelming for clients sometimes who aren't used to all of these apps that many of us here are used to using so frequently. But clients aren't used to all of those app names, and they may forget what they are or just feel overwhelmed by it in general. So this is a central place for them to be in touch with their accounting department. One of the apps we have listed here generally is called Tickets. And we explain to them that we manage all of their incoming emails as tickets. So while they do have that conversation panel on the left, that's just for short text messages. They certainly can send emails to us, and we tell them that we will cover the training on that in a future meeting. And then the bottom half of this far right panel is called Resources. And these are links to things that we've pinned here for easy access. We show them one of the links is to the onboarding status tracker so that they can watch where we are in the onboarding process. And we show it to them at this point in the kickoff meeting, and they can see that phase 1 has been completed and that we're in phase 2 now. Once we're done with the Client Hub training, then we review the next steps with the client. And that is that they are going to receive client tasks here in Client Hub, and that we'll be waiting on those so that we can begin to set up their accounting infrastructure. Again, you can see here I'm showing a zoomed-in view on the left of the process flow chart for this particular part of the onboarding phase 2. And on the right part of the screen, I'm also showing mirrored in arrow in the checklist the step-by-step process we use for getting that work done. So the rest of phase 2 onboarding checklist involves sending a summary to the client of how to use Client Hub after we just went over it together. And also to send them a reminder that the next step is for them to get busy working on the client tasks we have waiting for them. Even though we went over both of those things just now in the meeting with them, it's good to send it again in writing because, many of us have lots of meetings during the day and they may go on to another meeting and not remember everything. So we send it again as a summary after the meeting. Then we also change the progress on the onboarding status board from in progress to complete. And we change the status of phase 3 to in progress because now we're moving on to phase 3. So we schedule the phase 3 onboarding checklist task in arrow. That phase 3 checklist in arrow is pretty short because it's mostly about watching the client tasks in Client Hub and waiting for the client to give us the information that we've requested so that we can get started. So our onboarding manager, comes in every day and has several tasks assigned to her, and one of them might be this one, and she can go about her day performing other tasks in arrow and can then just pop in on this task every so often, which will launch her into checking on whether we've received everything yet. Once the client tasks items have been received, we notify the client that we're moving on to onboarding phase 4, which is the setup phase. So we change the progress on the onboarding status tracker for phase 3 to complete, and on phase 4 to in progress, and we schedule the arrow checklist for phase 4. And here is our phase 4 checklist, which is a super busy one. In this phase, we're setting up the new client's infrastructure. Many of the steps on this checklist send you to other checklists. For example, one row here might send you to our standard checklist for setting up configuring a QuickBooks Online company. And another row here might say if the client has payroll, then it'll send you off to the checklist for how to set up payroll for the new client. So this checklist guides a great deal of work, more than just the steps you see here. One of the first steps is to set up the client's email address for all of the correspondence to and from us as their accounting department. We intentionally do not set this up until now because we don't want the new client to email everything related to onboarding. We want them to use Client Hub's client tasks for that. So we create the client's email alias, which is something like clientname@redmondaccounting.com, and we configure a new inbox for them within the Teamwork Desk app, which is what we're using here. So we have a separate inbox for each of our clients, and this screenshot you see here is what it looks like on our side. We can see all the different inboxes for all of our different clients. along that left navigation panel, and we can click on any of our clients' inboxes to go see what new emails have come in and tag and assign them to people. Once this is set up, we send the client an email from this new email address to notify them about it and tell them to please use that new email address, which is clientname@redmondaccounting.com, for any future emails related to their accounting department and the work we're doing for them. The next thing we do, phase 4, is we schedule a task in Arrow for each and every one of the apps that we're going to set up and configure and use to service this client. And that's what I was referring to a minute ago, because on the phase 4 checklist, it'll ask you if we're going to use each of these apps. And if we are, you'll click a link on that row from the phase 4 checklist and go to another whole, they're usually pretty lengthy, checklist for how to set up QuickBooks Online, how to set up Bill.com, Expensify, Gusto, Live Plan, and so on. Each setup task is a separate checklist in Arrow with all the steps related to setting up and configuring that app. Many of those checklists, by the way, can be found already created in the Arrow library and are used by other accounting firms who use Arrow also to manage their practices. So phase 4 of onboarding entails much more work than just the phase 4 checklist we first saw. Also in phase 4, several steps takes us to look at the engagement letter that is the proposal in Practice Ignition, and to look at the work we promised to do, that we agreed to do, and we have to go schedule that work at the proper intervals. And we do that as recurring tasks in Arrow. These tasks are often assigned to various different staff in our firm and at varying intervals. Something may be happening weekly, something's happening semi-monthly, something's happening monthly, different people are involved. Each of these tasks is a checklist. And we have those standard checklists already defined as templates. So when we go to schedule this service for a new client, we grab the, say, reconcile and close standard checklist, and we schedule it for that client at the interval and assign it to the person that we're going to have do that work in our firm. If the standard checklist needs modification for this particular client's work, we also can do that at this point too. Then each time one of our staff is supposed to work on some part of this client service plan, that task will appear in their task list for that day, and that checklist will guide them to do that work consistently. And if they're off on vacation, we can easily assign that checklist to someone else at the firm. Once all of the infrastructure is set up and the service is scheduled, we're ready to go live with this client. And so we send them an email to pick a date to schedule the transition meeting. And by transition, I mean we're transitioning out of onboarding and into full-time service. And we also send an agenda with that email. We ask the client to make sure to join that meeting from a computer and plan to share their screen for training. Then we change the progress on the status board to show phase 4 is completed and to show phase 5 is now in progress. And then finally, we schedule the onboarding phase 5 checklist task in Arrow. Phase 5 is another big checklist. Most of it occurs during the transition meeting with the client. In that transition meeting from onboarding to regular full-time service, we'll ask the client to share their screen for training. And with them in the driver's seat, we'll go to Client Hub's Apps section. And we'll start by clicking on the logo for tickets. and we show them how to log in and view their company's tickets. Now, it's email, so they can send email in and out of whatever they're using for email. But if they ever want to come on and see the status of a particular email or ticket, or if they want to see any of the emails, if any of their staff at their business have been communicating with us as a firm, as their accounting department, they can view those emails there also. And so we explain to them that that's how they track the status of emails if they want to see our status marking. Then we show them how their accounting system works. Again, just like in sales, we show this to them from their perspective, how they do their part. It's too much to show them how we do everything we do. They don't want to know. That's why they hired us. So we show them how to do their part, and it's somewhat similar to the sales demo. But this time, it's with the client's specific information. So they'll be logging into their QuickBooks Online company. They won't be looking at demo material. And they'll be sharing their screen, and they'll be driving the apps this time. We'll walk them through the suite of software tools that we'll be using, and we'll be calling out the frequency of when that work will be done, just to kind of clarify the engagement letter in case they forgot, or if they remember to tell us something that we don't have set up at the proper frequency. It's another opportunity for them to hear that and catch that. And as we go through all of this training, we emphasize again the benefits to the client of each app. And then we review and reinforce the service agreement with the engagement letter from the proposal in Practice Ignition. And then we take a peek in Client Hub and look at the client tasks and see if there's still anything else that we're waiting on. And then if there's any cleanup or catch-up work to do, we can discuss that. And if there are any other additional tasks identified during the meeting that need to be scheduled, then after the meeting ends, we schedule those in Arrow. As Phase 5 comes to an end, we send a meeting summary to the client, and then we update the client onboarding status tracker for this final Phase 5 of onboarding to be completed. Back to our quiet place in our mind where you can focus uninterrupted and think about your system. We talked about vision, we talked about process, and now we talked about the system that will organize all of your processes so you can achieve your vision. What comes to mind for you when you think about your system? What can you do to manage and avoid chaos in your firm? Organizing your processes into a system is a key element in the success of your firm. You don't want to just stick your staff with your client and think it'll work itself out. If you ever find yourself being a bottleneck because too many things are waiting on you to do and they're not getting done because you can't do it all, or you hear yourself say, I'll just do it myself because it's faster. If that sounds familiar, then it's time to document that process and as many of your processes as you can, and delegate that work to your trained and trusted staff. A system will allow you to do this. It allows you to give your staff a list of work you expect them to complete and give them the resources they need to get the job done, passwords, links to the website where that client's financial institution is, instructions, procedure guides, print screens, everything they need to get the job done. A system allows you to give your staff the autonomy that they want to do a good job and be proud of their work. They just need your direction and permission, and that is our job as owners and managers and directors of client accounting service firms. And if your firm is offering fixed fee engagements to clients, then you really must control your labor costs with good process. So think about how you want to manage the firm to ensure that the processes are executed in an organized manner. And remember, the firm is responsible for planning its success. Earlier, we saw my firm's process flow chart, which included processes for everything: marketing and sales, onboarding, and the services we offer: accounting, consulting, and support. And you saw that we have checklists in Arrow for the tasks related to each of those processes with step-by-step instructions for how to do things, including how we perform the work we do for our clients. Remember that your knowledge capital is your secret sauce, so use that to create opportunity and revenue. Plan it all out, from vision to process to system. Document your procedures, capture the firm's best practices and unique techniques, create checklists, step-by-step instructions, in order of how they should be performed, and then watch your results as you transform your resources into profit. Proactive, intentional management of your service delivery speaks directly to the bottom line. Let's talk about results as we look at my firm's service delivery. Here's a screenshot of a sample metric we track on all of our recurring processes so that we can watch our firm at work and learn from that. This is a sample database of a report we use that tracks the average actual time logged on recurring work, as calculated with every instance of that recurring task. We use this information to update the estimated duration associated to each of these recurring services we offer. So if we have scheduled to do payroll twice a month for a certain client, then this report will track every time we run payroll. It will track the average actual time over that, however many instances we've done it, and we can watch all of those numbers. So we can start to get a feel for how long it takes us to do client A's payroll and how long it takes us to do all payroll tasks for all clients. And you can determine which of those metrics is the most meaningful to you. But having that gathered automatically for you is very helpful, because it is certainly tedious to go back and try to calculate that after the fact. In Arrow, as each person, each staff who logs in to do their work, every time they click on an assigned task to get to their checklist and they start working on their checklist, a timer starts automatically as soon as the checklist appears. So that's being done for us automatically. And we bill by fixed fees. So we're not billing hourly on most engagements. Most of our engagements are fixed fees. But we still collect this data so that we can better schedule our resources. We offer accounts receivable services for our clients who invoice their customers. And we use QuickBooks Online's online invoicing and electronic payment functionality for this. The Invoice Center, seen here, tracks when the invoice is sent, when it's viewed by the customer, when the invoice has been paid and deposited to the bank account. This is one important way we can provide to our clients that they can watch the results of their business's receivables. We also provide bill pay services or payables to our clients using Bill.com. Bill.com is full of features: multiple approvers, electronic payment, and granular permissions. Bill.com also reduces the threat of fraud by using positive pay on every payment. You don't have to turn that on. It's just part of Bill.com. Audit trail, separation of duties. We can track the results of our clients' payables activity using Bill.com's overview dashboard, which helps them manage bill approval and payment. We also provide expense report services to our clients using Expensify. Expensify allows us to reimburse staff who use personal funds for business purposes and to manage company credit card purchases. Expensify reads receipts and connects to bank feeds to automate the work and take the effort out of preparing expense reports. And it has a similar dashboard as Bill.com, which helps our clients be able to see all of the expense reports at different status. And Expensify also has a great data export feature, which allows our clients to track the results of their purchase activity. Another service we offer is payroll. From employee self-onboarding to interactive PTO tracking and approval, we love Gusto Payroll. Gusto allows us to offer world-class payroll services to our clients. It has automatic payroll, it has automatic tax remittance, automatic form filing. You don't even have to press the button, it's just done for you. Gusto takes out the manual work. Pay stub notification and employee portals give our clients' employees the access they need without having to contact us. And finally, you can track all the results of payroll using the various payroll reports that Gusto has available. We use QuickBooks Online as our general ledger for all of our clients. QBO's Report Center has a ton of information related to the results of how the business is performing. It has standard reports, you can create custom reports, and you can even create management reporting portfolios. QBO also has an open API which allows us to integrate with third-party apps that make our workflow fit our clients' needs. And QBO's overview screen, shown here, highlights common issues such as undeposited funds and uncategorized transactions, and calculates transactions that help us keep a pulse on how much work we're doing as the accounting department for our clients. So all of those are ways that we can manifest results that QuickBooks Online is making available to us so that we can deliver world-class service to our clients. And we use LivePlan for building interactive live forecasting models for our clients, which are automatically tracked against their real-time live actual data in QuickBooks Online. This helps to guide the important decisions that they're making in their business's day-to-day operations. And that insight that we're delivering is much more impactful when it's used to take action. Our service delivery is comprised of accounting, consulting, and support. So accounting is what we refer to as being the regular recurring accounting department for our clients. For us, consulting is when we are not going to act as their accounting department because they probably have staff that do that work already, but they come to us for help setting up, implementing, designing, configuring, training, everything to do with those accounting apps and infrastructure that we use in our accounting department services for other clients. Some people come to us to just help them set up, get started, or fix things about it. And so we do that work, and that's consulting. And support is what we call our communication with all of our clients, both our consulting clients and our accounting department clients. We proactively manage our clients' impression of our service through regular communication. We require one primary point of contact with each of our clients, and that's the person whom we invite to Client Hub for our accounting department services. And that's the person who we invite to the ticket portal for tracking email status. On the hundreds and hundreds of emails we process from clients, we're trying to reply within 24 hours. So that's the result we track. Here's a sample screenshot of Teamwork Desk's dashboard that shows you an example of how you can watch and track the response rates and times related to resolving and closing tickets. In addition to the results we watch related to our service delivery as an accounting department, as a consulting firm, and in our support and communication, we also track metrics related to those other departments in our firm that we discussed earlier in marketing, sales, and onboarding. In the sales arena, we track our closings and our pipeline using Practice Ignition's dashboard. In the marketing arena, we track open rates and click rates on our email campaigns so that we can take action to improve results. This is a screenshot here, it's a couple of screenshots actually, of ActiveCampaign, which is a great app for running email campaigns. We also use Growbots and MailChimp. There are a ton of other apps for email campaigns, so use whatever works for you. Just track your results so you can create a benchmark and set a goal and improve upon your activity to gain some traction. So I'll give you an example of how we use these metrics. We have one of our interns has a weekly task where she has an arrow assigned to her to go into this app and find the weekly open rate and click rate from our marketing campaigns. And she updates our leadership team's scoreboard, because every week when we have our leadership team, remember our level 10 meetings I was telling you about? When we have those meetings, we go through in 5 minutes, we go through our scoreboard to see whether our metrics are in line with our goals or not. And that's how that gets updated. So we are watching these results. They're not just available on a dashboard where you see it if you happen to be someone logging in, but they're actually being reported back to the leadership team so that we can watch them and improve upon them and gain some traction. In operations, we watch our firm at work so that we can act proactively as opposed to reactively. We track work in progress versus completed work, so we make sure we're meeting deadlines. We track time spent on client tasks versus firm tasks to acknowledge the effort required on non-billable work to run a firm. We track time. Time is a limited resource and must be managed for scheduling work and for identifying availability. We track actual versus estimated time so that we can update expected resources needed on current jobs, and so that we can plan the allocation of the firm's resources and determine whether we need new clients or new staff. And we track the average actual time. I talked about that a minute ago, so that we can improve our resource planning on future engagements. We evaluate all these so that we can improve. And we also track profitability Definitely. We do this by using burdened labor rates and hours. Arrow is automatically tracking everybody's time on all work performed, whether it's client work or work for the firm. Nobody's punching in and out of on timesheets. Nobody has to calculate their time on each job. Arrow is just doing that automatically as everybody's using their checklists, because the checklists are already assigned to a particular client or they're assigned as work for the firm. So we can run these reports and measure our profitability. And this gives us a pulse on the labor costs associated to our fixed fees. Back to our quiet place in our mind now, where we can focus uninterrupted and think about results. Can you think of anything that you want to track that relates back to your vision? What do you want that is worth doing all this work for? And how can you measure it? How will you know if you're reaching your objectives and goals? You want to set some key performance indicators and watch your firm at work so that you can improve and iterate and grow. The results of all the work you do are important to staying on track with your vision. Here's a great quote. I love this. If you define the problem correctly, you almost have the solution. So define your vision, define your process, organize your knowledge capital into a system, and track it. Track the results. A firm that has its knowledge capital defined and its sales and service delivery systems in place is poised and ready for growth. Here's that link again that I told you about earlier. This is where you'll find some additional resources like suggested ratings that have been important to our firm and sample checklists, just to give you an idea, somewhere to start. Thank you for joining me on this behind the scenes look, and I wish you the very best of luck in your endeavors.